So good morning, Gorm, Jensen, Executive Vice President, Commercial and Innovation, Perstorp, and Deepak Sharma ji. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yesterday, you launched Saika facility. Please, would you brief us about the plant in terms of area, the manpower, and in terms of ISCC Plus certification that you are getting for the plant?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the question. It was a very, very proud day for us yesterday, and we were extremely happy to see such a big crowd celebrating the inauguration with us. We had officials, we had partners, we have engineering companies, and we had, of course, our many employees on site. So it was a wonderful day. The site is an important part of our growth strategy in Asia. It's a project which has been underway for quite a number of years since the initial thought and plans. It has taken us almost 8 years from the initial thought and sort of firming up the intentions until the plant is ready. From a workforce point of view, from direct labor point of view, the site will employ roughly 125 people. But of course, from a secondary supplier and subcontractors and so forth, the number is of course much higher. We estimate about 400 jobs it will create in the area. The site you mentioned and asked about ISCC certification. It is a very important in our sustainability strategy that we get all our sites certified to be ISCC certified to supply sustainable, responsible products, and that's why we have done right away with the Saika plant. It is a plant which is suited and planned for producing what we call pro-environmental polyol, so Voxtar product out of Saika.
And you said 400 jobs. By what time frame are you looking at 400 jobs? Because the press release talked about 120 jobs.
Yeah, no, 120 jobs internally, and externally there will be suppliers and contractors associated with the plant. So 120 direct jobs, 125 direct jobs employed.
When I last met you, you had said the operations will start in second quarter of 2023. But despite that, there was a bit of a delay. So any reasons for that delay or?
No, I mean, thank you for the question. No, we are well on track. Initially, we had a little bit of a delay caused by COVID, but since then we have done everything possible to catch up. Mechanical completion were almost on time. And now here in the second quarter, we are in the phase of actually already now we are producing the first product, which is under qualification. And we do expect products to be qualified in the course of the second quarter and then commercially available from the third quarter onwards. So it's not, really a delay. We just want to make sure that the products meet our usual high standards for Penta and CAFO. So we are well on track, and we are sampling already for some of our CAFO customers. Penta, we are qualifying internally first before we are sending out commercial samples.
Sorry, sir.
No worries.
Would you talk about the investment made and how is this site different from 8 manufacturing sites that you already have globally?
Yeah, I can talk about. I think we have publicly stated the size of the investment several times, but we are well above $100 million in investment in Saika. how it is in different to other sites. I mean, first of all, it's many years ago since we have made a greenfield investment. This site is currently a dual product site where Penta is the main product, and then Carfo is the, if you want, important byproduct as a consequence of producing Penta. So that is, we only have one plant in our plant configurations producing the same products, which is a plant in Germany, Bruchhausen. But the other sites have either more polyols, TMP and neopentaglycol, or oxo products. So this is similar to Bruchhausen, but although different in terms of size and commitment to Penta and Carfo.
And when do you see this plant becoming 100% operational?
I mean, we definitely see a fairly quick ramp up and getting to a 100% utilization rate. I would say, if not by end of this year, then early next year, in running the plant 100% to its design capacity.
You are planning to manufacture Penta and calcium formate.
Yeah.
Or what's the production capacity of both these products at Saika plant?
I mean,
how is your production capacity globally for both the products?
Yeah, I mean, we are not disclosing our global capacity, but you know, this is a very significant part of our global capacity. We the plant in Saika has a capacity of 40,000 tons of Penta and 26,000 tons of Carfo. So it is a very significant addition to our capacity globally. Basically, I can say that the global Penta market is somewhere around 450,000 tons of Penta. So we can see how significant the Saika plant is in that context. And the global market for Carfo is about 200,000 tons. So it's roughly 10% of the global market for these two products, which is being produced in Saika.
And all your 8 manufacturing plants manufacture Penta and calcium formate?
Nope. It's only some of our plants which produces these products. There's only the Bruchhausen plant in Germany which produces Penta and Carfo. Our other plants are producing a different formate. We have one in Toledo. We have one in Perstorp, Toledo in North America, in Ohio, and Perstorp in Sweden. And the plant we have in India is producing neopentaglycol and TMP.
You're also looking at using renewable source, both from a raw material point of view and using hybrid source from a power point of view. So if you can explain what's the amount of renewable raw material you would be using.
No, absolutely. Sorry.
And also on the solar and solar, wind and the grid power that you would be using for this plant.
Yeah. Again, coming back to our commitment to sustainability, we have not only for Saika, but we have a plan for each of our manufacturing sites to gradually make them more and more based on renewable sources, to be able to provide the market and our customers with the most sustainable product portfolio as possible, helping our customers to reduce their CO2 emissions. And we decided to be well ahead of perhaps the market requirements in India to make the Saika plant a site suited for renewable raw materials and therefore sustainable products to the Indian market. So part of our raw materials are already based on renewable raw materials, and on the electricity side, we are already buying a hybrid of renewable electricity for the site. And this is a sort of a stepwise approach. Currently, we do see for some raw materials that the prices have increased for renewable content. So therefore, there is an element of the market and the customers need to be ready to pass on the increased raw material cost into the end market. So we can sort of push the accelerator in terms of the market readiness. But we are definitely ready to increase the level of renewable in our products gradually.
Sir, what is the market share that you have globally and in India for penta and calcium formate? And with plant becoming operational, how are you planning to increase your market share within India as well as globally?
I mean, we are the market leader in India, and we have had that position for quite a number of years. People within this market would remember that we actually had a site for some 12 years ago in Vapi, a small plant which we shut down. But we have historically had a very strong presence in India for penta, and it is very much our intention to keep that market leading position. However, we do certainly respect our two competitors in India, but also respect that there will always be an element of import of penta into India. But we have a clear intention that we will make sure that we coexist with our two competitors in India, but hope that we will be able to compete effectively with the imported material from China and elsewhere. So our intention is to be the market leader and keep that position and defend that position. The market for CAFO in India is relatively small, Pavin. It's a underdeveloped market in India. Both there's two main application areas. One is animal nutrition and one is for construction in grouts and in glass manufacture. And these two applications is not so developed in India. So unfortunately, we would have to export probably 90% of the CAFO out of India, not because we want to, but because the market is not here. So we will be putting in resources to develop the market for CAFO in India, but do plan on exporting the vast majority of products to other regions. But the market in India is only about 2,000 tons of CAFO.
Are you also looking at new industry verticals for these two products, apart from what you may already mentioned for CAFO?
Yes, we are. You know, I mean, it's part of sort of a typical characteristic from when a population increases their wealth and become a more sophisticated market requirements. But the need for cooling, the need for air conditioning is definitely increasing in India. And there is a great interest from compressor makers for refrigerators and air condition makers that they will source cooling fluids locally. So what we generally refer to as engineered fluids, being for the refrigerators and air condition, that market will definitely increase in India. And here penta is an important ingredient. This is an area for polyol esters, which is a combination of polyols, penta, primarily, but also TMP, and then oxo acids, which we produce in Stenungsund in Sweden. And we already have imports of acids into India, but the local market for cooling fluids in India is not here. It's imported from currently from China, actually. So this is an area where we intend to support the Indian market in developing locally, as OEMs of compressor makers will want this to be sourced locally.
How do you look at the global resins and coating, engineered fluids, advanced materials, and animal nutrition market globally, as well as in India?
I mean, again, India is a huge growth market, and we see the amount of paint per capita continue to increase. And if we're looking at that as an average between North America, Europe, and other parts of Asia, India is still well behind the average consumption for paint. So therefore, there is a huge unmet and so there's a potential market for coatings and resins in India. So that will continue. In the more mature markets, there is a more sort of the growth rate is typically more about around 3%. But the market will definitely also change in India in terms of the quality of paint being used, but also getting more and more sustainable, you know, walking or moving away from VOC, and also getting more water-based technologies. But the market for paint is hugely interesting in India. If we look at it globally, we are used to more moderate growth rates in Europe and the US, but there will be other parts of Asia still growing very rapidly. The engineered fluids market, as I said, the trends are cooling, so there will be a lot more engineered fluids used for aviation, but also for cooling in data centers, cooling in refrigerators, cooling in air condition, cooling in charging stations for EVs. So there is a huge market for cooling. So that's globally a very rapidly growing market. For advanced materials, there we are primarily focusing on again here a sustainable solution for packaging by replacing polycarbonate and polystyrene from applications in the packaging area. So rapidly expanding in that area as well. Animal nutrition, of course, there is more mouths to feed in the world, and therefore animal nutrition will remain a key growth area for the industry.
So what is the next step after this plant for India?
I mean, it's difficult to say, but I mean, clearly we have the capacity from a area point of view, so the land plot point of view, to make further investments. I would not be surprised we would see further expansion in the existing products that we have launched, but also associated with perhaps engineered fluids, without being specific, because I really don't know, but the market is definitely there.
You also have another portfolio apart from commercial. You take care of the innovation part of it, which is not the norm in majority of the cases. So wanted to know from you, sir, what is the R&D activities going on globally? And since you have 3 R&D centers, are you also looking at expanding an R&D center or opening up an R&D center in India?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good question. I think we are extremely committed to continued innovation, and we are currently increasing our capacity in terms of capabilities and in terms of number of people employed in our innovation function. And more we see the need for having decentralized application centers. We already have had an application center here in India for a while, but we are definitely committed to continue to deploy more resources in regions, and in particular in the Asian region. So we are adding, and they will be continued to be added in the areas of our chosen industry segments. So resins and coatings, engineered fluids, and advanced materials. Those are the areas where we are having our primary investment, but we're also investing in process technology and in support of other areas. I think it's important when we're looking at your question was, what do we do to develop, for instance, the CAFO market? It is important that we also invest in resources for developing the markets for CAFO in India, and that application know-how is important to help to stimulate the market growth in India.
From a sustainability perspective and from R&D perspective, if you can talk about what are the new products that you are developing in your labs, which will have an impact on the industry verticals that you are focusing on. And presently, how sustainable is your present product of Penta and Carrefour?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that let me talk about sustainable solutions. I mean, if we are looking at the area of coatings and resins, and there we can, for all our polyols, we can go 100% renewable on our polyols. It's a matter of price and what the market is prepared to pay for it. So that we can take to if you want, the full extent and supply 100% renewable products from our range. That is not yet required in India. I had the pleasure of attending Paint India in Goa about a year ago, where the industry had this very much on the agenda. And the industry is, of course, responding to the consumer needs. And all the paint companies in India doesn't see it yet as a firm requirement from the consumer. The first and foremost is to get the houses painted before they worry about being sustainable paint. But we are ready. So from a sustainability point of view, paint is one area where we can definitely help our customers and our customers' customers to achieve that. If we're looking at engineered fluids, it's another driver for sustainability, because the alternatives today is not as sustainable from a recyclability point of view, but also maintenance and fire point of view. So take a windmill, for instance. There typically in the past we have been using, or the industry have been using, mineral oils for fluids or lubricants for windmills. This is more and more going to be lifetime fill. So a sustainability aspect in terms of no need to replace, but also from a maintenance point of view. And there are several areas. Data center cooling becomes another point, where people are moving away from PFAS, which is being removed from being used from a sustainability point of view. So there is a stepwise, we are innovating products which helps the industry to reduce non-sustainable and substances under investigation and under scrutiny from a regulatory standpoint. But there are huge differences across the world, how far and how aggressive countries are in imposing new standards, and also what the consumers are prepared to pay for. But those are sort of areas where we are, I talked about thin wall packaging, in advanced materials. Also here, our innovation is driving the industry to move out. The European packaging regulation has already stated the exit of polystyrene in packaging. So here we are innovating a solution in conjunction with recycled PET, which helps the industry. So this is all innovation focused on helping the industry to remove non-sustainable products.